deploy them in the field guarantees that if I go on the offensive, I don't have to worry about having to backtrack all the way to my barracks to resupply the army with additional troops if I start taking losses. Brutes. Even stronger versions of these guys at more expensive, with actual AP costs and one more human. Every time they kill a unit, they get +1 more attack. And if they damage someone, they do critical damage. They're actually a really solid unit. But I'm going to take drones. I'm not sure what else I want yet, so we'll skip taking them. Beasts. At 5 attack, 5 defense, and 3 points, these guys are pretty solid. They also have extra attach, which means they can have an extra piece of technology or genetics on them. I kind of like these guys. We're going to take a few of these guys too. Gluttons. At 6 attack, 4 defense, they also have a higher cost of 4 humans to take one. Whenever they're hurt, they get +1 attack and -1 defense every time they're hurt for the rest of the battle. So if something hits them for 1 damage, they're now up to a 7 attack, 3 defense. And Psychers. These guys have this is really interesting, these guys. So no material cost to add them. At 4 human resources, 1 science, they're kind of on the expensive side for resources for troops, one of the more expensive ones. They've only got 4 hit points, they're okay there. 2 attack makes them useless if they're going to be swinging with their fist at things. And 5 defense makes them kind of hard to hit. What they excel at, though, is their Psy Blast, which I believe isn't restricted to range 1. They can use that at anything they want. And what they do is, as you can see, the unit can conduct a 7-die attack against a biologic unit that must use a number randomly generated between 1 and its resistance at its defense. If it succeeds, then it does damage to it. So basically, I make a roll, and the computer gets a number of random dice. If I roll higher, it takes damage. So what's interesting is that it doesn't use the attack stat, it uses its Psy Blast stat. I'm not going to add Xenogites to this army, though. So I apologize, we did a lot of talking about a card we're not going to add. Next, we have the Xenomorphs. These are stronger, crazier creatures than our Xenogites. Xenogites are all using weapons for the most part, too, you can see. So they're using some technology and materials. The Xenomorphs are basic, hulking, huge creatures. So, the Degenerate. He's actually kind of weak with 5 attack, 4 defense. He also requires 2 energy and 3 humans, but he's only 4 points, that doesn't make him so bad. He's also got flank attack, which gives him a +2 dice on his attack. He goes up to 7. If the enemy has nothing in their rear rank. Makes him really good for your first battles, as they'll be swinging at strength 7. That's pretty decent. I may take some degenerates. Hellions are 5 attack, 5 defense with counterattack. If the enemy had, let's say the enemy hit me for 2 points of damage, and I rolled 4 on defense. The attacker would then take 2 points of damage because I rolled 2 higher defense than it rolled for its attack. Kind of neat if you can get the enemy to actually target them, though. The enemy will usually go after your weaker units first, and especially try to avoid counterattack models. Horrors. Attack 6, defense 5 with assault 4. Works just like the Drudge's assault 6, only adds 4 dice to his attack, bringing him up to attack 10, which is the most dice you can have during a roll. And he suffers a -2 defense, defense 3, for the rest of that round, and then next round he must remain committed, so he can't attack again. He looks a lot like the Degenerate. But he has a cheaper cost, too. The Abomination. Oh, it's not this guy who's the best, it's Monstrosity. Abomination is still pretty good. At 7 attack, 7 defense, medium amounts of points there, lots of energy and human resources. He also has shock attack, which makes him really good at disabling the enemy. Let's go ahead and add a few of these guys. And actually, I'm going to add another beast to this. Monstrosities. This creature is horrible if you're going to end up fighting it. It's got double attack, so it attacks a single unit twice at attack 8. It has Neurotoxin 4, so a bonus of 4 minus a random roll of the defender's resistance is applied to damage inflicted in a successful combat challenge roll against a biologic unit. So if I fight a tank, Neurotoxin doesn't do much for me, although 8 attack times 2 against attack is very nice. But Neurotoxin won't work. If I'm fighting a living thing, though, Neurotoxin will do an extra 1 through 4 will do 4 damage minus a successful invisible roll that the enemy gets based upon their resistance. These guys are really nice, and I'm not going to add any to this deck, because I want to add some Biomecha instead. Let's go look at these guys. Gangrel. Reconnaissance, Strength 5, Range 1. The range means that it can see past its own hex it's currently in to detect what's around it. It's got Stealth 5, so it can go in stealth. And it's also got Commando, so it can walk around the field without worrying about being in supply. We're going to skip him, though. He's 4 points. It makes him kind of expensive. And I'm already at 170. In fact, we're going to take out at least 1 drone. Reduce our cost a little bit. Reavers. Reavers are 6 attack, 6 defense, and they have counterattack. They also have Assault 4, which we're familiar with now. The counterattack is very nice, and at 4 points, he's not too expensive for a Biomecha. Let's go ahead and add a few of these guys in. A Destroyer. Attack 8, Defense 8, Shock Attack, and Massive Damage. On the more expensive side for resources, though, coming at 5 humans and 3 energy. Still, 5 points, they're not so bad. In fact, let's go ahead and add a few. The last Biomechanica is the Corruptor. We won't be adding any of him to this deck. He's just too expensive for what I got left. He has multi-target, so he can hit several different targets at once. Attack 6, Defense 6. He's also got Disabled 3-2. He's basically a slightly more powerful but less resilient version of the Elephant tank that the Empire of Man has. We're going to skip adding any of him to this deck, though. Reconnaissance. We have Critters and Consorts here. Critters are cheap, but they have good movement and Reconnaissance 6, Strength 6, Range 1. Consorts are Strength 6, Range 2. And that's amazing when it comes to research, but they're also 4 points to add them in, and cost significantly more resources than the Critters do. We're going to be adding Critters to this deck. Actually, let's put these guys down here. It's so very important to have Reconnaissance in your army. Especially early game, if you can get some early game. Now at this point, I'm running out of options for other cards I can take with me. We have Battle Support, but I've only got another 7 points left. Battle Support are generally very weak defense without a lot of hit points, but they do good damage and they have excellent secondary abilities. Their range is also pretty decent, which means that you want them in the back rank of your army. Looks like this Spore Mortars has a range of 2 with area attack, so if it's in the back rank, it takes only half strength attacks from enemies who can reach it, unless they have Breakthrough. And Disrupt, which lowers the attack, lowers the defense of the target it hits, has to actually put a wound on them, by 2 for 2 rounds, and Disable, which is the same thing but for the attack strength. At 3 points though, we're not adding any in. Enzyme Thrower has Shock Attack, and with Disable 3-2, so not only will it paralyze a single target, but it also makes it, its attack gets weaker, so the next round it will have less attack strength. Alternatively, if the enemy was immune to the shock attack because it has Steadfast, this would be really helpful. Sam Team, Anti-Air. They just walk around and provide anti-air support. It's pretty decent, but I think I might be adding air power to this deck. Mobile Hive always counts as, whatever army this is in, counts as being in supply. good for the really long games. This would be a 275 huge map card, or 175 huge map card. In which case, this would be a requirement, I feel, in that deck. Probably 2 of them. Bioharvesters collects 4 human resources and 2 energy each turn from the hex it's in. Pretty good for big maps. I'm not expecting, though, to run across areas that produce that many goods on a small map, so I'm not going to be adding any mobile bioharvesters. Then we have special ops teams. Assassination teams can stealth, and they can kill an enemy outside of combat or in it. At 3 points, they're pretty cheap, but I'm not going to be able to afford to add any in if I want some more air power. Demolitions team is just like the Assassins team, but they blow up buildings. And the Psyker team has Confusion. If they successfully hit a target with this attack, and that target fails a resistance check, that target, first off, will then become mine for 1 turn. It will instantly make an attack against an enemy, using whatever attack it had, and in the same rank, it looks like. Finally, that unit that was confused is considered to be committed. This means that it will not be able to attack me on its turn. As cool as they are, I can't afford the 4-point cost. I can only actually add 1 of them into my deck, so we're going to skip that. Air Power, non-sentient biologic flying machines, genetically engineered and grown in Xenopod labs. Pod Hovership. This is a precision strike attack craft, which is used to bomb enemy structures and or armies. At 4 points, though, we can't really afford to have him in this army. We do have the Xeno Interceptors, which have air-to-air. They can also attack ground if they want to, but they can respawn to enemy aircraft if they're within range. They're pretty weak at 4 defense, 4 attack, though, but at 3 points, we can afford to add 2 of them in. That gives us 1 leftover point, so we're just out of luck there. Because, we could add a single Xenopod larva to our deck at that. So why don't we do that then? Okay, so this is our deck. Key and Gate, coming in at 175 and 5. Let's quickly start a new game with it, just to show you how that works. And what's more, we're going to click on Iron Man with this deck to really see if this deck works out. I've never actually played an Iron Man game with this, even though I've owned this game for like 5 years now. Iron Man. That which does not destroy you makes you stronger. I believe the only time the game is saved is when we quit. Also, that save game is erased whenever we load the game. So if you have an unstable computer, don't want to do it. This is basically making the game roguelike. A new game. So, we're going to pick our 175 and 5 Key and Gate, which I can't pick for some reason. Oh, I didn't give it a stronghold. Oh my goodness, what a noob. Figures, the 1 card I forget is a stronghold. Well, we need a stronghold. I don't have any extra points, so we're going to be adding the Crashed Hive Ship. You're allowed to have 1 of these in your deck, and you have to have 1 in your deck. The general idea is you have one that's a plain one, collects 1 of each resource, but costs 0 points. A Tunnel Hive here, which basically is resistant to weapons of mass destruction. And the Fortress Hive. Oh, he doesn't have an anti-air hive. Interesting. Looks like he gives a +1 defensive bonus to everybody in it. Oh, and it also begins at level 2, not level 1. Interesting. With a ton more hit points, too. Alas, we can only add our Crashed Hive Ship, though. Hey, buddy, I'm actually going to not play the game. I'm just going to check on